Hi guys, and welcome back to the South Korean ladder, as we have once again a very interesting game here in between the two pro players. We have spawning here in the upper right in the white. It is a mysterious barcode player here with already 700 APM, so sadly I don't know who this is. Maybe it's Bisu, who knows, maybe Stork, Snow, I have literally no idea who sadly he is. And spawning here in the lower left, I do know who this player is. It is of course Nada with his AK, still Nada, returning here into the pro scene, being very active, streaming a lot, and yeah, having also a YouTube channel I believe. So it's very good to have him back here onto a 4 spawning location map. So yeah, the game has been played in August 2025 on the South Korean ladder. Like I told you, we're going to be checking out the build orders, just like we do in the previous replays here onto this channel. The production tab is of course here up in the upper left part, and yeah, still a very high APM here for the Protoss. So I believe he's going to take this game very seriously, as he has opened up with a pylon into a gateway, and I think he's going to be scouting now the map. So quite a early scout here indeed for the Protoss. Really wants to know where exactly the opponent is hiding. In the meantime, also pretty standard open up here for Nada, supply depot into a barracks. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. No intentions here by the players to go for a cheesy gameplay, and also a fast gas here for the Protoss, as I'm pretty sure he's going to continue with his cybernetic score, given the fact that the Dragoons early on are quite strong versus the Terrans. So yeah, scouting will also start here for Nada as he's moving out towards the lower right part, I believe, here from the map. So yeah, 4 spawning location map it is. Who's going to be the victor here of this long game, as we have a 26-minute game here, quite exciting game here. The APM is lowering now here for the Protoss, still a high APM here for Nada, around 400. Gas is already getting mined early on. I believe he's going to be going towards his factory very soon. Let's check the Protoss. There is another pylon, no cybernetic score. Actually, there is the cybernetic score, nicely hidden behind, and a pretty bad scouting here for the Protoss, as he's now going towards the upper left part. We already have a marine here out for Nada, so this is quite advantage. It's a good advantage here for him, given the fact that the probe will not gather any important scouting, as even the second marine is also going to be out very soon. So sadly here for the Protoss, very bad early scouting for him, but it happens of course, as he's going for his first Dragoon, and I believe he's also going to be saving up for a Nexus very soon. There it is, there's the Nexus. Dragoon should pop out very soon. The SCV will of course try to see when or if the upgrade for the Dragoon range is going to start, and in comes the probe, but there's already 3 marines out for Nada, so he should be fine. The Protoss now pretty much blind, has no idea what exactly the build order from Nada is going to be, and yeah, he's starting to play it very safe, going for his expansion as well. Of course the Terran could hide a starport, just like we've seen in previous replays, onto the map and just do a good drop with vultures versus the opponent. Let's see if Nada is also going to try this onto the map, as lots and lots of Terrans have tried it, and quite successfully into the early game, in order to cripple the economy from the opponent. Yeah, there's the expansion. There is, I believe, a robotics facility bay. No, it's actually a Citadel of Adun, so we might see a Dark Templar rush here for the Protoss. No robotics facility bay, straight into the Citadel of Adun. Could this be straight Dark Templars moving forward towards the expansion, and he really has to snipe this one SCV. So yeah, now Nada still has no idea what exactly the build order is going to be here for the Protoss. He has of course no comsat at home. The only scouting happened with some SCVs, as the Dragoons now give good cover towards the expansion right here. So let's have a look exactly what the plans are from the Protoss. Goes for a Stargate, interesting enough. So could this be early Arbiter? It'd also be an option here for the Protoss. A very unusual build order here for him. I've never seen this actually. Perhaps he's going to be going for an early Corsair in order to have vision from what exactly the Terran is doing at home. Scout, I believe scouts aren't really an option for him. So yeah, starport into Templar Archive. Quite a strange build order here indeed. Might get punished early on here by the move out from Nada with 5 Marines, actually 4 Marines, 2 Vultures and 1 tank. So I guess Nada knows that something fishy is going to happen. He's moving out. 3 Dragoons are in the back to defend. They have range, so I believe the Protoss should be fine. But with this wall of his, of course, showing Nada that he's actually hiding something in the back. So what exactly could it be? Either Dark Templars or Arbiters. What exactly are the plans here from him? Arbiter Tribunal indeed it is going to be. So what a crazy build order here for the Protoss. At around the 6-minute mark he has started his Arbiter Tribunal. Now Nada sees of course the wall of, knows that something fishy is going on. The Dragoons aren't really here present. The Protoss was expecting a drop with a dropship, but yeah, in comes the attack. Okay, even gateways are being brought here forward in order to just save the expansion right there. No siege tank ability yet. We do even have a Dark Templar now here, and it could actually also be a recall with a Dark Templar. Yeah, there's the Dark Templar already taking some damage. Good mines here for Nada, so very good game by him. And we even have a shield battery in the back here for the Protoss. So what a interesting game indeed we have here with a early Arbiter. It is indeed going to be. So what a outstanding and quite out of the ordinary gameplay here and build order here for the Protoss. Is it going to be successful? Of course the Terrans early on don't really have any detection on the main battlefield besides turrets. But yeah, no scans for him, and a great pull here actually with this Dark Templar inflicting good damage. Now I believe finally Nada knows what exactly is happening, but he still has no idea about this Tribunal, about this Arbiter gameplay here by the Protoss. Lots and lots of gateways are getting produced, even yet another Stargate, so we might even see carriers, early carriers here by the Protoss. Let's see if this is going to be the gameplay from the Protoss, as he's currently of course trapped at home. He has no observers. He might try to pull the mines towards the units, and let's see if this crazy strategy here by Hyper Protoss is going to work out, and what exactly his plans are. Is he going to try perhaps a recall? Recall could also be very strong with this Arbiter straight into the main towards the production buildings here from the opponent. Currently of course on the defense. Same can be said here for Nada. Of course he has no idea, he doesn't really know exactly what is coming towards him. Is it going to be Dark Templars? He has some turrets behind, turrets here into the main. I believe he has still no idea about the Arbiter Tribunal, and he still has no satellite. Now finally he's going for his first comsat, and 1 Zealot should be able to pull those mines out. So finally perhaps the Protoss is going to be able to slowly but steadily move out. We even have Stasis trap. This mine could actually detect now the Arbiter, could see now the Arbiter. Even speed has been done for those Zealots, so quite interesting strategy indeed here for him, as he's actually moving out with only two Zealots and an Arbiter in order to clear the path against those mines onto the ground. So yeah, Nada now pretty much knows what exactly is happening. I believe he needs some more comsats at home, as in comes the push with the Zealots. Tries to pull those mines. Actually the Zealot is now moving forward, but Nada now even expanding into this location. Has the turret. It's really important for him to have vision against the invisible units. And yeah, in comes the Arbiter. Could this be a drop? I mean a recall, even a Stasis ward going straight flying here forward. There is a turret into the back. He has vision, and he might just pretty much try to attack the production buildings from the opponent. Currently just scouting slowly here with this Arbiter, as it is indeed quite an unusual build order by him, and at the same time he's also expanding into this location. Is he going for more Arbiters? Is he going for some carriers? Actually it's mass Arbiter gameplay here by him. Quite a good strategy towards the very late game, just to freeze those tanks in the back, as they will be very likely clumped up together. But as you can see, Nada nicely reacting, spreading those tanks. So it's very important to have a spread in order for the Stasis trap not to find many units trapped there, as in the meantime the Protoss just keeps on expanding. So yeah, we will pass the 10-minute mark here. What a nice strategy, finally a good and a different strategy. I really like that from any player that is going for a different style than the usual So yeah, Arbiter gameplay it is going to be, as now it looks like both players pretty much focusing onto their macro orientated game. More and more buildings will be added, more and more workers will be added. As you can see on the minimap, it's not really a move out. None of the players really want to inflict damage. Only the Protoss just pretty much scouting the map here with the Zealots, trying to clear the mines onto the ground. A good engineering bay here for Nada, and a nice barracks here, giving him good vision versus any early shuttle gameplay by the opponent. So yeah, Arbiter still patrolling the map, Zealots as well. We have a small stalemate here, as like I told you, both players just making more buildings, especially factories here for Nada, 7 of them. So it's going to be very likely, actually it is a MAC game versus a mass gateway game here for the Protoss. But yeah, more and more Arbiters are getting produced here by him, and it could also be carriers into the late game. So let's see how many Arbiters is he going to need. Of course, remember, a good stasis field can trap so many tanks, even up to 5 or even up to 6 tanks. So those tanks will be out of the game. With that, the Protoss will have a enormous advantage versus the opponent. I believe that's exactly what the Protoss is betting on. I believe he's going to go for a number of 5 to 6 Arbiters into the air with lots and lots of energy, just patrolling here the map. Perhaps even using one Arbiter to do a recall into the main, so just keeps the Protoss guessing keeps the Terran guessing what exactly is coming towards his way. Of course, Nada reacting with some precautious Goliaths here, very good versus the Arbiter. And let's have a look who exactly is going to be the first player to attack. The Vultures will slowly but steadily move out. They need vision against this one Zealot. And yeah, is he going to be able to inflict some damage towards the economy from the Protoss, as the Dragoons are also slowly but steadily moving here out onto the map. So this expansion might get sniped by Nada. He's just checking here the other expansion point. The Dragoons into the middle of the map, just in order to get cover towards those probes. And yeah, let's have a look how this game is going to continue, as slowly but steadily we turn towards the 15-minute mark. So a very interesting game indeed. We have nice strategy here by the Protoss, like I told you, as even more and more Arbiters are getting produced here by him with gateway units. Yeah, you have to be very careful where exactly those Arbiters are moving, where exactly they're hiding. Perhaps one is going to get used very soon to do a recall. It's already 4 of them into the air, more are getting added, and more stasis traps will of course be available here for the Protoss to punish the Terran. So let's see how Nada is going to react towards that, as the first move out is happening here with Arbiters with full energy. How they're going to be using their first stasis fields. Yeah, there it is. So lots and lots of those Vultures now pretty much out of the game. Nada perhaps is going to abandon them there. They might get encircled very soon here by the Protoss. So quite a sneaky and interesting gameplay here by him. Stasis traps of course lasting very long, I believe around 1 minute. Could it also be a recall into this location? Might be a possibility here for the Protoss, but not that much energy here for him. So let's see what his plans are. Perhaps just trying to force the Terran to stay at home. There we have the turret. EMP shockwave is about to come here forward, as the Arbiter is moving more and more towards the deeper side of the Terran. But yeah, there's the EMP. No energy here for this one Arbiter. At the same time, we do see a recall here for, I believe this wasn't really a recall, he just moved here forward, or was it a recall? It could have been a recall with a small group of Dragoons. So quite a abusive gameplay here by the Protoss. I believe indeed it was a recall, so one Arbiter has been sacrificed here by him, while the second Arbiter just pretty much recalled those units. So it looks like Nada pretty much had enough of this out of the ordinary gameplay. He has also those Goliaths, he's moving out, trying to punish. Of course, he's pretty much almost maxed out with 60 workers versus the 80 workers here from the Protoss. Yeah, in come the stasis fields once again, lots and lots of units, and yet again a great stasis field. But is it going to be enough here for the Protoss, as there's so many tanks in the back ready to engage the Goliaths or engaging the Arbiters? Yet another stasis field here for him, and even Psionic Storm. So quite strong of an strategy here for the Protoss. So many units are pretty much out of the game here for Nada, as he's now pretty much taking control of the middle of the map. But a very hard game it is going to be here for him, as so much ice field has been casted here onto the Terran units. And the macro game here for the Protoss also looking very, very strong. But yeah, is it going to be enough? As another Arbiter might get snapped, so he needs to be careful with his Arbiter gameplay. Lots and lots of casualties have been taken, and the Terrans are now back into the game. The tanks are back into the game, so a little bit of a mistake here by the Protoss, sacrificing those Arbiters into the front. The tanks unfreezing in time, and now they're pretty much ready to move here forward, slowly but steadily towards the first expansion points here from the Protoss. As in the meantime, some units for the Protoss are patrolling the map, but the real action is of course happening here into the middle of the map. There are still Arbiters into the air here for the Protoss. Some Zealots are still inflicting good damage. Lots and lots of Terran units are hurt. They are in the red, and yet another stasis field, so quite annoying to deal with. EMP Shockwave will of course be the answer here for Nada versus all of those Arbiters into the air. And yeah, EMP of course killing all of the shields versus the opponent here as well. But yeah, somehow the Protoss seems to be holding, as Nada slowly but steadily is pushing here forward. He's still, actually he did lose quite a large number of his army as the Protoss comes back into this game. But yeah, those Goliaths, perfect counter towards all of those Arbiters into the air, even giving cover towards the tanks in the back with their mech pistols here in the front. So yeah, let's have a look how the game is going to continue here, as the Protoss slowly but steadily is getting cornered here by the Terran. Tanks are moving forward. Lots and lots of Zealots are also moving here forward. The real damage dealers will of course be the high temps in the back. Very soon I'm going to be checking out their upgrades, and good storms have been casted here. But yeah, Nada seems to be very, very relentless here, moving forward with 1 to 2 weapons upgrades. Let's have a look at the Protoss. I believe 2 weapons has been done for him and 1 armor, so good upgrades here for both players. But the tanks are now knocking towards the first expansion point here for the Protoss. So I believe the Protoss actually is going for carrier, so what a crazy move. But look at that, only a couple of interceptors here, so the carriers are pretty much useless right now. The real damage dealers will of course be the high tempers once again with their storm. So yeah, very weak carriers we have right now into the air with just a couple of interceptors. So yeah, dealing some damage, but yeah, he really needs a stronger amount of interceptors here with those 4 carriers. What a great transition here for the Protoss, and such a nice mix of units here for him. And this will of course force Nada, as you can see on the production tab, to go for mass Goliaths in order to answer this strategy for the Protoss. Really like that from him. High Templars also online. Interceptors getting into their storm, and slowly but steadily the Protoss is clearing the path. But in the meantime, I completely missed this one. The Terran actually snapping so many probes here. So while all the action has happening, Nada with a very nice and smart move by him, going for the expansion point, pretty much clearing the path and attacking those probes. He's going to be able to take some damage out of the interceptors. But yeah, with that and with the Goliaths in the back, he should of course be able to hold. Still a hard game here for him, having to adapt against this strategy from the Protoss. Quite extraordinary gameplay here by the Protoss, by this barcode. I have no idea who he is, but he's playing really well. And finally, not a mass gateway build order by him. Arbiters into carriers and even high templars for this Protoss. Quite a smart strategy by him. Perhaps he developed it himself or he copied it from another pro. But yeah, very well executed. Not of course countering or trying to counter it with mass Goliaths, with upgrades onto the ground. And yeah, not that many interceptors like I told you into the air. Of course the Goliaths will also snipe some interceptors, which of course aren't for free. You have to pay minerals for them. So a little bit of a bad high templar waypoint here, as he has to go for a arbiter. So yeah, we will pass the 20-minute mark very soon, as in the meantime we do have an attack here by the Protoss into another expansion point. We do have some important units here for him. Nada should of course be able to hold against this. But yeah, the Protoss of course tries to buy time for his expansions, for his macro game. He did lose however some units, and those storms are really nicely placed here by the Protoss, pretty much obliterating all of the mech units here from the Terran. But yeah, the real damage dealers for the Terran, the important units on the ground, will of course be the tanks, as it could be a pretty much full-on transition by the Protoss towards carriers with High Templar Storms. Good strategy indeed here for him, sacrificing however some units, so he needs to be more careful with his micro, as now the Terran is moving forward with so many Goliaths onto the ground, and even one carrier might get snapped. Of course, they're not that fast moving of a unit. 2 of them are in the red, still taking damage, still only 4 of them, and yeah, one might get snapped very soon. So yeah, in comes the Arbiter, tries to of course save those carriers. Stasis field has been casted immediately, one carrier might get snapped, but reinforcements are pulling here forward, so still a balanced engagement here for both players. And as you can see, still not that many interceptors into the air, as the Terran is slowly but steadily pushing here forward towards the 3 o'clock position, I believe, here from the Protoss. Yeah, the interceptors are attacking what they can. The Goliaths are just pretty much dealing damage towards the interceptors. One carrier, I believe, has been taken out. We do have 6 carriers now into the air, so quite a scary number of carriers. 4 of them are already a very good number, but 6 are already even better, of course, and 12 could be quite devastating versus the Terran. So let's see what's going to happen here. There's still cover for those carriers. Now finally they will be out of the shades of the Arbiter, and with that they're pretty much exposed here, so he has to be careful. Losing yet another carrier, so quite a mismicro. I believe he microed those carriers together with the High Templar. The High Templar did cast the Storm, was taken out by the tank, so he has to perhaps be much more careful here with those carriers. A important unit not to lose, as he has so many gateways here at home, still producing carriers at home with Arbiters. But the Terran is slowly but steadily moving here forward. Worker wise, they're both pretty much at the same worker amount. Good storms here by the Protoss, even better micro here by Nada, but yeah, very hard to out micro all of those storms. So a pretty well executed strategy here for the Protoss, and yeah, it's still anyone's game. Let's see who's going to be the victor. Perhaps the Protoss with a smaller advantage, as those storms are just dealing so much splash damage versus the mech units from Nada. So Nada very hard to out micro this. At the same time, the Protoss also sacrificing so many units, so the Terrans are in the red, but they're still alive here. They're still ready to engage, and now a stasis field to block the entrance versus the Terran. And yeah, those carriers are still invisible in the back. Nada tries his best. He's nicely kiting those Goliaths on the ground back and forth. In the meantime, 2 Zealots will be able to snap some SCVs here, but the real action is of course happening here towards the expansion point from the Protoss. So yeah, let's have a look. Those Goliaths are pretty much trapped here, but they could be able to snap perhaps some interceptors. And in the meantime, finally the Zealots take a good charge here forward. The SCVs could fight for their life. The real damage will of course be into this location, as the carriers are now moving forward. Yeah, the Zealots will be taken care of, and in the meantime a great storm to take out all of those Goliaths. So yeah, lots and lots of casualties being taken here by Nada, as the Protoss is making good things happen for him with those High Templars and even those carriers. Let's see what he can be able to do with those carriers. He should have a good attacking point here against only 2 turrets. He should be able to take out those turrets, but I believe he's going for the turrets, and then later he will very likely take out the expansion. So a good move here by him. The Terran is trying to respond, of course. His units are very slow onto the ground compared to the carriers into the air. The SCVs try to repair the command center there, but yeah, finally in come the Goliaths, and with that some interceptors will get lost. But yeah, lots and lots of mining time has been lost here by Nada versus his opponent. So good strategy by the Protoss, like I told you, still anyone's game. Nada with a little bit of a loss here, 46 workers for him. Very nice abusive gameplay here by the Protoss, as I believe the Protoss is slowly but steadily gaining more and more of an advantage here into this game. Could this be the winning move by him with carriers, with arbiters, stasis fields, and even High Templar? So pretty much all what the Protoss has to offer versus the mech strategy from the Terran, and also a little bit of a much more mobile movement here for the Protoss, as he's now slowly but steadily moving here towards the middle of the map. The Zealots are in the front, nicely positioned. The Goliaths are in the back, being able to snipe some interceptors here. The Arbiter will also very likely be taken out. So yeah, the Goliaths are doing a very good job. They might even get a good flank. Great upgrades here for him. Versus also 2-1 upgrades here for the Protoss. And yeah, he tries of course to snipe unit after unit, but he's going to take so much damage from those Goliaths in the back. Still, however, supply wise the Protoss in the advantage, economic wise also the Protoss into the advantage, but let's not forget that he keeps on losing interceptor after interceptor, and I don't see any more high templars here, so the Goliaths could of course be able to take out lots and lots of interceptors. As you remember, the rockets from the Goliaths don't cost anything, the interceptors however do cost minerals, so all of a sudden the Protoss is getting pushed back. The tanks in the back could of course inflict so much damage, and it looks like Nada feels very confident here to move forward, and actually Nada is the one GGing out. I believe this was the reason why the abusive gameplay continued here with a drop. I believe it was a drop by an Arbiter here. Hold on, let's just check this one, what exactly has happened here. So I believe the Arbiter did a recall there into this point, so all of the army from Nada was of course focusing his attack there into the 3 o'clock. So yeah, there it is, we do have this attack right here. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, those 2 zealots that have been taken care of with the Dragoon, or it was just pretty much a walk forward here for the Protoss. So the Arbiter is getting sniped, and he might just would have walked forward with those units, so he lured the enemy forward here towards his expansion, did inflict some damage. Let's have a look what exactly. There's the Arbiter, and now he just pretty much walked forward, so Nada pretty much abandoning here his expansion, his important expansion, not leaving any units behind to defend. Of course it would have been very hard to defend versus a group of zealots with dragoons. Now the real action of course happened here. I did thought that Nada was pretty much into the advantage here, sniping so many interceptors, and the Protoss was like, you know what, I'm just pretty much going to walk here forward towards your undefended expansion. With that, sadly here for Nada, all of his units were outside of the map. He did even have some dragoons in the back, and with this so many SCVs have fallen here, and of course Nada had to abandon the game here. So sadly for him, quite a bad decision, very hard to defend. Of course he was focusing, perhaps he could have stayed into the game with all of his Goliaths, but there were even cannons in the back, so it would have been so hard for him to take care of this expansion. So a very hard game indeed here for Nada and for any Terran. Quite a outstanding strategy here for the Protoss. If you're a Protoss, you could copy this. It's very hard for your opponent, especially to face those early stasis fields, and then all of a sudden you have to face carriers, and then the Protoss can transition back towards gateway units. So a great mix here for this Protoss, and a nice lesson into strategy here versus Nada with a very hard game for him. I do understand his frustration. Even though he had a good position with those Goliaths, even though he sniped so many interceptors, even sniping some carriers, all of the high templars have also been taken care of. The Protoss still having the advantage, pretty much walking towards the expansion. And yeah, those Arbiters of course also very good versus the Terran. So quite an interesting game. Very nice and outstanding strategy here for the Protoss. Of course Nada tried his best with his max strategy, but in the end the Protoss proving to be much stronger here than his opponent. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to try to be as active as possible. It's Tommy signing out.